Greetings, colleagues, friends, distinguished guests. Welcome to this international virtual conference. My name is Glen Coutts and I am currently the President of the International Society for Education Through Art. And it's a real honour for me to be invited to make this short welcome speech. The title of this conference is Art Education in a Time of Coronavirus, reflecting on today, anticipating tomorrow. What a timely theme. The world has changed enormously in 2020. Every aspect of our lives has been impacted by this pandemic. And at this point, we have no way of knowing what the future might hold. So, to come together for 3 days, experts from all around the world, is a wonderful opportunity for us to take time to reflect on what is art education for in our schools, in our colleges, in our universities, in our communities, in our museums. What should it look like? Should it look the same as it did when I was at school? Should it look totally different? No doubt over the next 3 days, we will hear lots of different opinions and viewpoints. But the important thing is we are sharing this together and working on ways that we can help each other to share knowledge, to exchange ideas, to be inspired. And I wanted just to share with you some personal musings, some thoughts, some ideas about art education and what it's for. And so I called this short talk 3 C's for Art Education. Now these are just my C's. Your C's may be different, probably better than mine, but this is a way of introducing the topic and getting people maybe to think a little bit about what they do in the classroom, in the studio, in the lecture theatres around the world. We are very fortunate to have a genuinely international audience, delegates from all over the world. And I want to pay tribute to the organisers, the Czech members of InSEA, for putting together this amazing event. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you some ideas, some thoughts, and maybe encourage you, if you're not already a member of InSEA, to join us. So, welcome. And this, for many of us, is what we are seeing every day, and so are our students. But it's not a school. And here we are in a virtual conference, art educators facing yet another online meeting. But now I'd like to return, if I may, to my theme of 3 C's for art education. Do we mean C's in terms of an assessment, A to C level? I'm not sure. We're very obsessed with assessment, at least in the Western world. Now, here is a shape that looks a little bit like the letter C. It is, of course, a wire coat hanger. So, what is this crazy Scottish guy talking to us at an international conference about wire coat hangers for? Well, there's a lot you can do with a wire coat hanger. You can make sculptures from it, you can bend it, you can make it into different things. It's only up to your imagination. I came across this cartoon. Maybe this is one of my C's, Charlie Brown. This is his sister Sally, who was shocked that she was awarded a grade C for her coat hanger sculpture. And as you can see, if I leave this on the screen for a few minutes, she was quite rational about, why should she be awarded a C? She's put lots of effort into it, she'd been as creative as she could. So who makes the decisions about assessment? There's a serious point, of course, as art educators here, and assessment has always been a thorny and tricky issue. But also this cartoon says something about schools, not just our obsession with assessment, but about the way that we condition and shape young people. We have a big responsibility. So to continue with my theme of 3 C's, what could they mean? Do we mean chopping? Do we mean cutting? This cartoon caught my eye, I don't know, maybe in Facebook or somewhere on social media, but it did say something about the way that schools tend to be traditional places where we shape and condition young minds in the way that we were shaped and conditioned. So the parent is delivering his anxious and creative young person into this environment. Well, maybe Mark Twain had it right. Never let schooling interfere with your education. The area that we work in to the untrained eye can seem messy and haphazard, as my notes for this lecture, I think, demonstrate. So now I want to return to my original theme of the 3 C's. And these C's are not to do with assessment, to do with grading, to do with rank order, to do with putting people into boxes or youngsters into boxes. They're about helping young people to understand why art education is important, especially those who will not go on to produce art, but will definitely be consumers of it. So my first C is context. How often have you sat in a lecture theatre, maybe you're even sitting in one at the moment, thinking, what has this got to do with me? How does this relate to real life? So this idea of real life is for me also very important for young people. They need to see the connection between what's happening in the classroom, in the studio, in the lecture theatre, and what's happening around them in their lives. My second C is all about the idea of connecting. As creative individuals, as creative people, we are very good at making connections between things that might not at first seem to work together. That's how creativity works. That's how we invent new things. That's how we enthuse people. That's how we change the course of developments, hopefully in society. So my third C is maybe perhaps one of the more obvious ones that you might have thought, and that is about the idea of create. So if we have these 3 things, context, connections and creating, they all work together, and that's where we can get something which seems to have some kind of coherence and interest for young people. We have a duty as our educators to try to make sure that what we deliver has this coherence. And if we get it right, if it works, if we can really connect to this idea of real life up here, and what happens when these things converge is where very interesting and very effective art education happens. And as the president of the International Society, I like to think that we do this with our members, for our members, and our members help us to help other members to make connections, to think in context. And all those, we have more than 74 countries in the world representing thousands of art teachers, either as full professional members or as affiliates or as organisations. So what we try to do is make these circles come together where we can be creative, we can make connections, and we can think in context, in social cultural contexts, which are often very, very different around the world. So I like to think that we can try in some ways to help each other by using these circles here. And my idea of the 3 C's. Now, these are just my 3 C's. There are many others. I'm sure you can think of lots for yourself. But for me, I think these have some value in exploring in terms of thinking about the why of education or our education and not just the how. Only last year, 2019 July, this shot was taken at the opening ceremony of the International Society for Education Through Arts World Congress. We are living in very different times now, obviously. Now we are coming together virtually, but we are coming together, and that's the important thing. Coming together as a family is what we do. People often refer to the society as a family. Now I know there's a lot of information on the screen here, but this is our manifesto. These are our values. This is what we stand for. And what could be more important in these days of social distancing, that we somehow manage to come together, somehow manage to work together, somehow manage to create and connect together. Why should you join InSEA? There are 2 main reasons people cite for joining the society. One is professional development, and the other one is networking and being part of a larger community. When I taught in schools, it was often the case that I didn't see one other art teacher for months or even maybe for a year. So now, especially with the technology we have, I have friends all over the world. I can talk to people in different continents. And you know, the amazing thing is that the visual arts language ties us together incredibly well. And the society is a great facilitator in bringing people together. These are some of the benefits that you get as a professional member. It's also very useful for teachers in many countries where they need to get access to professional development and demonstrate that they are keeping up with trends in their subject area. So we can be a very good professional friend to individual members, and individual members such as our colleagues here in the Czech Republic are good at bringing local and national groups together, and we want to help you to do that as much as we can. We recently revised our membership fees, and the fees are linked to the Human Development Index, United Nations categories for different countries in the world. So in some countries, many countries, it actually costs less than a cup of coffee per week to join this international and vibrant society. So what are you waiting for? So I just want to end by saying thank you to the organisers for this amazing event, for inviting me to speak to you at this short welcome introduction, and I hope that I will see you either on screen or hopefully in time meeting in person somewhere at one of our international or national events. So thank you very much indeed.